you can use this QR code.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah. Hello, Ophir.
Hi,
Nice
hi.
to meet you.
Hi,
My
you
name
too.
is Maria, and I'm going to introduce myself in, well, I hope we'll give one more minute for other people to join. And I prepared a special place where I'm going to store books, assignments, presentations, everything. And you can reach it using this QR code. Check if
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, I think so,
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Works.
works.
Perfect. Right. So, shall we, I don't know, shall we start or shall we wait for other people?
How many people are supposed to be here?
Well, 5.
Hmm.
Now we're 3, right? Michael? Let me check. Michael Kimmel. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Michael, as I've already told your colleagues, I've prepared a special space online where I'm going to store the materials. And you can reach it using this QR code. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Right. Difficult times. We start this course. I was dearly waiting for meeting you all in person in class, but yeah, here we are in Zoom. Right. So, shall we start? We're going to learn something about semantics and pragmatics in this course, in fact, and during this meeting today, I'm going to make an introduction to linguistic semantics, right? So, what is this about semantics? Anyone can help me with that? What's the keyword for semantics?
Like the lexical range of a word.
Okay, actually, meaning, right? Yeah, this is the keyword, meaning. So, what does it mean for a word to mean something? This question is perfectly intuitive. Like every speaker of a language uses and understands words, okay, profoundly. Linguistic semantics is the systematic study of meaning in language. So how words, phrases, and sentences are related to concepts, things, and states of affairs in the world. So you're going to understand how we form the meaning during this course. So I'm going to lay the conceptual foundations for everything that follows in the course now, and we will establish a set of distinctions that will recur throughout between form and meaning, between lexical and grammatical meaning, between the meaning of a word and the meaning of a sentence. Okay? So, and we're going to talk about the two principal analytical frameworks that the course draws upon. It's truth-conditional semantics and compositional analysis. Okay? And, well, it's first time I see you, so I don't know anything about yourself. And I would be very grateful if you correct me if I'm too complicated for you, or vice versa. I'm making myself too easy. Okay, right. As for myself, for the introduction, I'm Maria Molina. I hold a PhD in linguistics, and I do ancient cuneiform languages. In fact, Hittite, if you know what I mean. So, but we're going to discuss general linguistics. Yeah, I'll try to make use of examples in ancient Greek, Hebrew, but I confess I'm not a native speaker of ancient Greek. Sorry to say that. So in some points you might correct me even, but I did learn my ancient Greek when I was at the university, right? And I'm not a native speaker of Hebrew as well. So can you help me with your native languages so we just get know each other? Yeah, come.
Oh yeah, English.
You English?
English as well.
And Michael?
Hebrew.
Hebrew. Okay, good. That's the person who would correct our Hebrew examples. So
I will try so.
right, yeah. Okay. So where we begin? Yeah, probably here. We begin with the most fundamental question, the study of meaning. What is the relationship between the linguistic expression and what it means? Yeah, one moment. Probably here. So, in their 1923 work, The Meaning of Meaning, Professors Ogden and Richards proposed a triadic model of signification, now known as the semiotic triangle, also called the semantic triangle or triangle of meaning. The three parts of the triangle are symbol, which is sound form, the linguistic expression itself, spoken sounds, written letters, signs. Okay? Thought or reference or concept, which means the mental representation associated with the expression, and the referent or the thing itself, like the book as an object, we can touch it, right? The actual object or event or state of affairs in the world. Okay, that's the referent. And the crucial insight of the model is that the relationship between the symbol and the referent, meaning the word book and this object, is not direct. There is no natural or necessary bond between the word form and the thing. The connection is mediated by thought. Speakers who know the language associate the symbol with the concept, and the concept applies to reference. So the dashed line at the base of the triangle between symbol and reference represents this indirect relation. The word dog, for example, does not look like a dog, sound like a dog, or smell like a dog. It is a conventional sign whose connection to dogs runs through the mental representation that language users share. Okay? So that's how we understand the connection between the dog as a referent and the word dog. Right, the semiotic triangle. It illustrates one of the most important facts about semantics. Different symbols, word forms in different languages can be associated with the same thought concept and, in different languages, right? And therefore apply to the same reference. For example, English word dog, or Hebrew kelev, or Greek kuon, they all pick out the same class of animals via different word forms. And conversely, the same symbol in different languages can be associated with entirely different concepts. Okay? Right. And Ferdinand de Saussure, famous founder of linguistics, arrived independently at a related analysis. So his model is dyadic, okay, consists of two parts rather than triadic. He distinguished the signifier, acoustic image, from the signified concept, right? Saussure insisted on arbitrariness of the linguistic sign, which means that the bond between signifier and signified is unmotivated, established purely by convention within a given language community. And in fact, this principle explains why the same concept is expressed by entirely different sounds across languages, and why language change can alter word forms without altering concepts, or vice versa. Okay, so to the next important part of our basic part of our study, the American philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce developed the most influential taxonomy of signs, distinguishing three types according to the nature of the relationship between sign and referent. First thing is the icon. An iconic sign resembles or shares a quality with its referent. Okay, so the relationship is one of similarity. For example, a painted portrait is an iconic sign of the person depicted, right? Or a diagram of the solar system is an iconic sign of the solar system, right? And such linguistic things as onomatopoeia, like sound of a thunder, for Greek bronte or bronte, which the sounds mimic the rolling of thunder. Onomatopoeia. It's called with you're acquainted with the word, right?
Yes.
So onomatopoeia is the most familiar form of iconicity in language. So right, and what is important, iconicity is cross-linguistically variable. So different languages use different phoneme sequences to represent the same sound, showing that even onomatopoeia has a conventional element, in fact. I mean, as everything in the language. I actually prepared an example of onomatopoeia in Hittite. I thought you might like it. The word for laughing in Hittite is makes use of sounds ha ha indeed. So the verb sounds like ha-hars. Well, yeah. And you certainly know a lot of such examples in your native languages. Now, for the index, an indexical sign is connected to its referent by a causal or existential relationship. The sign is produced by or co-occurs with what it signifies. For example, a smoke is a sign of fire. Fever is a medical sign of infection, right? Or a pointed gesture is a deictic sign directing attention to a referent, right? And in the language, we have demonstratives. For example, Hebrew ze, okay, maze. Greek hutos. I don't know. Russian eta. These are linguistic indices that direct the hearer's attention to a referent in the speech context. So this one, right? And here we've got deixis. Yeah, you're acquainted with the idea, I hope, which is the grammatical encoding of context dependence into linguistic form. We're going to talk about it later in the course. So demonstratives, personal pronouns, and tense are all indexical, in that the reference is determined by features of the utterance context. Okay, who is speaking to whom, when, where. So this is an index. Right. Now, symbols. A symbolic sign has a conventional connection with its referent. A connection established by the practice of linguistic community with no natural motivation at all. For example, in English, we have this word bread. In Hebrew, lehem. Artos in Greek. Panis in Latin. All symbolize the same basic foodstuff by arbitrary convention, right? We just agreed that all these packs of sounds like are bread. Or look at the Hebrew morpheme t as a feminine marker. Like t in the beginning of the word forms or t in the end. I mean, nothing in the sound t is inherently feminine, right? But we use it in certain words as such. Or in many Indo-European languages, we've got a as the same feminine marker.
Yeah.
Virtually all words in natural languages are symbols in Peirce's sense. So this is what Saussure meant by arbitrariness. There is no natural motivated link between the phonic form and the semantic content. So purely convention. And we have it transmitted through language acquisition, of course. We push it to our children. So, right. This has a profound consequence for semantic analysis. The meaning of a word cannot normally be read off from its form. So, meaning must be established by examining use, what speakers do with expressions in context. Okay. Now, lexical meaning. We'll separate lexical meaning from grammatical meaning, right? Lexical meaning is the meaning carried by individual words and morphemes. This is the descriptive content associated with content words like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, like in the dictionary. We have this in the lexicon. Following the classical distinction, which is introduced in Kearns 2011, all the literature will be in the workflow space. I gave you the link. We call these words categorematic expressions. I'll be back to the terms in the end of the lecture. So don't fear that you'll lose it. Expressions that have determinate meaning independently of the constructions they appear in. For example, Hebrew melech, king, is a noun with specific referential content, a male ruler in an ancient Near Eastern context. Or Greek pisteo, I believe, a verb carrying a rich cluster of semantic features relevant to faith, cognitive commitment, relational trust. Or Arabic kataba, the root ktb, like lichtov in Hebrew, encodes the writing events. In almost all contexts. So it doesn't depend on the context. Right. And lexical semantics is concerned with how individual words are structured internally through semantic features, semantic fields, sense relations, synonymy, antonymy, hebonymy, and the organization of the lexicon as a network of meaning. So we have several meanings as clouds, more or less, and we can connect it and get the lexeme as a cloud containing all those small seams, like meanings, parts of meanings. We call it seams. Semem is a semantic unit, and the smaller meanings inside the semem is a sim. Right. Okay. Grammatical meaning, we call it also structural meaning, is the meaning contributed by morphosyntactic structure. Grammatical categories such as tense, aspect, case, mood, voice, and number contribute meaning, but their contribution is mediated by the construction they appear in. Right? And Kearns call these syncategorematic expressions. The meaning which is defined in terms of the larger constructions they are part of. For example, Greek aorist versus imperfect, or Hebrew katal versus ichtol, right? Or Latin nominative versus genitive, dominus versus dominie, subject versus possessor, right? So case encodes grammatical role. The key challenge in the analysis of languages is that grammatical categories do not map one-to-one across languages. the Hebrew katal form, for instance, is not simply a past tense, right? It marks a spectral perfectivity in a tense system quite different from Greek or Latin. So we cannot just translate it, just I mean, we really need to get into this grammatical meaning, grammatical semantics. And formal semantic analysis is a method that would allow us to characterize these distinctions precisely. It's pretty much logic, like logical operators, and is not very easy to catch, but I hope we'll have time to look into that. Formal semantic analysis or formal semantics. Right.
Would you say the same? You said that the grammatical semantics don't map one-to-one in languages, but isn't the same thing true of some lexical semantics?
Indeed, right, indeed. It's just, it's easier with lexical semantics, right? With lexical semantics, we've got something more like an object that we can touch, we can get our hand on, right? So it's just a bit easier to imagine in terms of those parts of meanings. Yeah, it's easier to get to through lexicon. First thing we learn when we start learning a language, right? We get a list of words and their meanings. And in fact, on the basic level, for example, when we teach second language to kids, we can deal. We can be well off with just basic meanings and one-to-one mapping,
I'd say,
right?
I'd say, that the way I think about it is there's normally, not always, I think you're right, Cam, like there isn't always, but most of the time there is a direct translation of a word or close enough. Whereas
Yeah.
like sometimes grammar, like for example in Hebrew, I think there's no imperfect tense. There's just past. So there's no direct mapping between the imperfect in English or in Greek or whatever and in Hebrew because it just doesn't exist in the same way.
Indeed. In Hittite, we do not have future tense at all.
Right.
So we just had to read it from the context. It is present form, and you have to understand if they're talking about what's going on now or what is expected. So, yeah. Right. Lexical and grammatical meaning interact constantly. The same grammatical form, for example, an imperfective aspect marker, will have different semantic effects depending on the lexical aspect of the verb it attaches to. Okay, and for example, sometimes we've got different verb forms depending on what is the root. Okay, different verbs use different verb endings, for example. In every language that I am acquainted with, I guess. So, and this interface is known as the lexical grammatical interface in aspect theory. So this interaction between lexical and grammatical semantics. Okay, So, next part is, which is closer to formal semantics, is truth-conditional semantics. The core idea is that to know the meaning of a sentence is to know its truth conditions. So, to know what the world would have to be like for the sentence to be true. Okay? Actually, it's a very, very long tradition in philosophy of language, starting from Frege. Frege is a philosopher. We're going to talk about Frege's principle, or I was going to talk about it. But yeah, it was a really famous philosopher, Frege. And there were other different philosophers like Tarski, Davidson, and Montague, who used to analyze a sentence meaning in terms of truth conditions. Okay, is it true in the situation given or in the world we are living in, or it is false? So, this approach, in fact, does not require us to know whether a sentence is true. It requires us to be able to discriminate between situations in which it is true and situations in which it is false. As a famous semanticist, Barbara Patti, in her article of 2006, puts it, knowing the meaning of a sentence does not require knowing where the sentence is in fact true. Okay? It only requires being able to discriminate between situations in which the sentence would be true and situations in which the sentence would be false. Right. Now for the terms. In truth-conditional semantics, the meaning of linguistic expression is analyzed in terms of its connection to the world. So, three key notions are extension. This is what an expression picks out in the actual world. For example, extension of a name is its referent. Extension of the word book is the book itself. Can you see me now? Yeah, right. Sorry,
Yes.
I just lost the camera. But yeah, extension of a predicate is the set of situations it is true of, right? And extension of a sentence, of an utterance, yeah, we've got this term utterance, is its truth value, true or false. That's the extension. Now, intension is the full meaning of an expression across all possible worlds. Okay? All imaginable worlds, all imaginable situations. We call it, in semantics, possible worlds. This is a term. So, the intension of a predicate is the set of all things it is true of in all possible worlds. Okay? It might not be true in my world over here, but if I were a man, for example, that would be true. Okay? I don't know, my face would be different. Yeah, my voice would be different if I were a man. But we can imagine this situation, right? And we can say this sentence: if I were a man, my voice would be coarser, for example, or lower. So, in order to understand those utterances, like if I were, possible things which are not true in our world, we use this intention thing, intention term, which explains it in possible worlds, possible situations. So, an intention of a sentence, of an utterance, is the set of all worlds where this utterance is true. Okay? So it's a set of truth value, which is called the truth set or truth condition. And here we come to the truth condition term. Truth condition is the state of affairs that must be obtained for a sentence to be true. Okay? So, this means that to state truth conditions is to state what the sentence means. Okay? I've already told you about possible world as a term. Now again, possible world as a term is a hypothetical way that reality might be or might have been. So it's introduced to handle meaning beyond the actual world. Right. So consider the sentence. This is the classical illustration. Midge is grinning. Its extension is a truth value, true or false, depending on whether Midge is currently grinning. Right? Its intention is the set of all possible worlds in which Midge is grinning. This is its truth condition. So two sentences in a language can share the same truth value in the actual world. So both can be true or both false, yet have different meanings. Okay? Because they are true in different sets of possible worlds.
Right.
If I were a man.
Oh, I see.
Right. I mean, I'm a woman is true in this actual world. I am a man is false in this actual world, but it can be true in some other world. If I were a man. The world which is described by the sentence. If I were a man. Here we've got actually several other terms which I'm not sure I've written on the presentation. Let's probably print it over there. We've got also an entailment, a contradiction, a tautology, and an analytic truth. Okay, I'm going to write them down over here. Just realized I didn't include the presentation. Entailment. Then we have contradiction. We have a tautology. And we have the analytic truth. Right? What it means? Entailment. A entails B if every situation in which A is true, B is also true. For example, Leo is shorter than Dan. Entails Dan is taller than Leo. Yeah? We've got two people, one is shorter, another is taller, and we've got two sentences, two utterances. Leo is shorter than Dan, and Dan is taller than Leo. If the first one is true, if Leo is indeed shorter than Dan, then inevitably Dan will be taller than Leo. And this is the entailment. Okay? And again, we say A entails B if every situation in which A is true is one in which B is also true. Now, contradiction. Obviously, A and B are contradictory if they cannot both be true. Okay? Like Jones is at home and Jones is not at home. Cannot be true at the same time. Either one or another or the other. Right? So they are contradictory. Again, A and B are contradictory if they cannot both be true. Now, tautology. A sentence true in all possible worlds. Adding no descriptive information. For example, let's look at the sentence. Either it is raining or it is not. This sentence describes all possible situations with the raining. Either Iran is bombing us or it is not. Yeah? In all possible worlds, it is true. This is called tautology. Now, analytic truth. Well, normally we understand if the utterance gives us true or false value. Looking at the situation, looking at the world. Okay? But in a language, there are sentences, there are utterances that are, well, where we can understand that it is true or it is false. Just looking at the words. For example, a tigress is female. I mean, wife of a tiger, right? The suffix s has this grammatical meaning, grammatical semantics of something female, right? This is why when we are looking at this sentence, a tigress is female, we see that it is true because female is a part of the meaning tigress. Okay? Or all girls are females. It is true because lexical semantics of the word girl has got this part, this theme, this part of meaning, which means female. So in all possible worlds, the sentence "a girl is female," "a tigress is female," or "a lion is male" is true because it's part of its grammatical or lexical meaning. And again, if we say "a girl is a man," we know it's false, right? Well, in fact, it looks like it's a bit artificial, right? Discussing all that. But these distinctions are not merely theoretical. When we work at the interpretation of texts, when we identify entailment relations, presuppositions, analytic truths, we actually do exegesis, right? We do this understanding. I don't know, when a biblical text says "the Lord reigns," the truth conditions of this sentence and the entailments of this sentence determine much of its theological force, right? That's not exactly about the language, but I try to show you the practical thing in it. Okay, one more term probably is presupposition. I mentioned, but I didn't write it. So when we pronounce an utterance, we've got an utterance. When we talk, the sentence that we talk is called utterance. And well, behind those utterance, we usually have certain things that we understand behind it. This is the presupposition. Okay. So these are basic elements. I hope you wrote it down because I'm going to take it out. Take it away. Right. So now to that philosopher I've mentioned already, Frege. Frege's principle. Right. The principle of compositionality. It is often called Frege's principle because it was Frege who established that principle. It is one of the foundational assumptions in modern semantics, which is the meaning of a complex expression is a function of the meanings of its parts and the mode of syntactic combination. So we've got parts of the meaning, and we know the rules, how they are gathered together, and so we can understand the meaning of the whole utterance. This is the compositionality of meaning. So this principle is what makes language possible as a generative system. Natural languages have finite lexicons Yeah, only so much lexemes. But speakers can produce and understand infinitely many sentences. Yeah, including sentences they have never encountered before. This is possible because speakers know first the meanings of individual words and the rules for how those meanings combine. This is compositionality, and in fact it's the semantic counterpart of the syntactic recursiveness of grammar. Well, if you know, have anyone of you dealt with generative grammar? Understanding of syntax with generative grammar? No? Okay. Okay. Never mind. We won't go into that. I mean, I would show that it's the same, but yeah. Right. So, for example, we have this Hebrew sentence, המלך כתב את הדבר. Actually, I would say כתב את המילה, but well, in my text it was a davar. Probably Michael knows more about why it's davar. Is it ancient Hebrew, biblical Hebrew? Yeah. And a compositional analysis builds the meaning from the bottom up. Yeah, so first we understand the basic parts. The king, amelech, is a noun phrase with a specific referent, that male ruler in the ancient Near East. Now we've got this part, katav, wrote, a verb denoting a writing event, and in fact it requires a subject and an object. The verb requires it. It's essential for the verb. It's a part of the verb. It's characteristics that it requires a subject and an object. Now we have the word, an accusative noun phrase, which marks the object. Okay? Are you okay with subject, object, verb? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So, the combination produces this part, right, as a predicate, with values, the king and the world. And in fact, this is an event description. So this is how we can describe pretty much everything that happens in the world, yeah, in the language. The predicate and its values. So this is how we can see that the meaning of the whole sentence is determined by the meanings of its parts. Yeah? And the way the syntax structures the combination. Well, besides the king and the word, we've got grammatical meanings, of course, here. And in a proper semantic analysis, grammatic meanings are included as well. Well, this is where semantic analysis meets syntactic analysis. So the grammatical meaning is presented in the analysis of syntax, and the semantic meaning is presented in the semantic analysis. And here we've got a syntax-semantics interface. Okay, we've already met with lexical grammatical interface. So we've got syntax, semantics interface as well. Right. Okay. And both are, well, in both, the general meaning is made out of the combination of the parts. My question here would be, do you need a break? Do you usually make use of a break?
Usually not this length of class. We have some classes which are longer and we take a break, but I mean, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for everyone.
Yeah, is it till
Okay.
1:30? Is it until 1:30?
Yeah.
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 All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We're going on. So, now another difficult word. The principle of substitutivity. Can you say it? Substitutivity. I love it. This is a direct consequence of compositionality. If two expressions have the same meaning, substituting one for the other in any complex expression leaves the meaning of the whole unchanged. Okay? I don't know. For example, I am a woman and I am Maria, and we can substitute these two words in a sentence describing my behavior. For example, Maria is sitting. Oh, a woman is sitting. And in this situation over here where I am sitting, I can say I am sitting, right? And it describes exactly the same situation. I'm over here. I'm in a sitting position. Yeah, I'm not standing. Okay, so the meaning, in general, the meaning of the whole is unchanged. And this is the semantic analog of a mathematical truth, just as 6 times 3 plus 2 equals 6 times 5, because 3 plus 2 means the same as 5. So, if we take the phrase, the male ruler of Israel, and substitute it with the word the king, right? In any sentence, most probably the truth conditions would not be changed. Phonetically it is changed, lexically it is changed, even grammatically, with grammatical meanings it is changed, but not truth condition. It is still true. It is that person we know of. Right. I mean, to be substituted, the expressions must have the same extension and the same intention, be coextensive and cointensive. Do you understand what I mean? We had, for those who just came,
Yeah.
same extension, same intention. The truth condition is unchanged. Okay?
Like it's a form of paraphrasing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The male ruler of Israel sits on the throne. The king of Israel sits on the throne. Same thing. Same extension, same intention. Right. Okay. Now we're coming to a really important theme. the principle of substitutivity has an important exception that takes us to our next topic, idioms. One moment. If kick the bucket means die, then by substitutivity, kick the pail should mean the same thing. But it does not, right? This shows that idioms are not compositionally derived. So their meaning is not a function of the meanings of their parts. So here is where we come to metaphors and idioms. So a metaphor is a form of meaning extension in which the structure of one domain, the source domain, is mapped onto another, the target domain. So the terms here, one moment, we've got a source domain and a target domain. And it is a term, the source domain is mapped onto the target domain. So, in fact, in the theory of conceptual metaphors, they're described with those source target, like mind is heart, or well, sorry, the target source, right? So metaphors exploit systematic similarities or structural analogies between domains. Yeah, and so actually it's not just poetry or rhetoric, right? We use this constantly in ordinary language and thought, like all the time. Yeah, but well, if we look at the poetry, the Lord is my shepherd. The source domain is pastoral care of sheep. Yeah, the target domain is divine care of the worshipper. So the mapping is systematic. Every feature of the shepherd-sheep relationship, like provision, protection, guidance, okay, is transferred to the divine-human relationship. So we understand divine-human relationship in terms of shepherd-sheep relationship. This is the mapping. We map source map meaning onto the target domain. And in fact, normally, historically, and from the point of cognitive linguistics, the source domain is almost always more concrete, and the target domain normally is more abstract. And this is how metaphors actually structured. They look into concrete things. I don't know.
I mean, this example shows it well. Like pastoral, like looking after a sheep is easy to understand, and yeah.
So you don't need another example, okay? Because it just doesn't Emerge on my mind quick enough. Right. Yeah, and if we look the Bible, in the beginning was a word, yeah, logos. The cosmic divine agent is conceptualized through the source domain of human speech. Yeah. So the mapping transfers the productive, communicative, self-expressive features of speech onto the divine creative act. Or the Hebrew expression lev heart, like sim lev, okay, lesim lev. You know the expression simu lev, right? Attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so the physical organ becomes the source domain for a range of mental and volitional functions. So this is actually the conceptual metaphor mind is heart. And it can be found across many cultures. You can think of the same mapping in different languages. I mean, we have this in Russian. I'm sure you have this in English as well.
I'm not sure if you do. Do you think you do, Cam?
Which have what?
Mind
So
is
he,
heart. I mean, you think of like he puts his heart into it.
Yeah,
Do you
put
have
your
that?
mind.
So it's
guess,
not
yeah,
like
maybe.
it's not like you put your physical heart, right? You don't take it out of you. You die.
Yeah. maybe.
I don't know. With all
Yeah.
my heart. With all my heart, right? Probably. Right. So this is where we're talking about conceptual metaphors, right? After Lakoff and Johnson, 1980. Systematic mappings between abstract and more concrete domains. Yeah. So they're not exceptional figures of speech. They are parts of how humans think. So this is our cognitive abilities, in fact. Very, very essential to our mind. Right. So for semanticists, an important distinction is between live metaphors, which means their metaphorical character is still felt, and dead, lexicalized metaphors, right? Where the metaphorical origin is no longer transparent. Like Latin caput, head, became Italian capo, leader, through lexicalized metaphor. Right. So, and idioms. Okay, metaphor is like theme, right? And an idiom is a multi-word expression whose meaning is not compositionally derived from the meaning of its parts. That's where we were talking about kick the bucket. Right? So synonymous substitution of parts fails to preserve meaning. It's not the same meaning. Okay, kick the pail is not die. Well, there are degrees here, like in Hebrew, nasa panim. Michael, do I make sense? Lift the face, literally. I cannot hear
You're on
you.
mute.
Sorry.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you're mute.
It was in favor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, show partiality. Yeah. except a person, something like that. So, and here the literal and idiomatic meanings coexist. So, the context only disambiguates it, right? And if we come to this Greek expression, ektrepeste eis mataiologian, yeah, empty talk, yeah, to turn aside into empty talk. The phrase functions idiomatically in early Christian paranesis to denote spiritual or moral deviation. Yeah. So, and there is this theory, construction grammar, that treats idioms not as anomalies, but as evidence for a broader principle, like constructions at all levels of complexity, from morphemes to multi-word expressions, can carry meaning that is not fully reducible to their parts. Okay? This actually challenges a strict version of compositionality. But it suggests that meaning is housed not only in words, but in conventionalized structural patterns, in constructions. Okay? And for the analysis of ancient texts, particularly where we do not have native speakers, like Biblical Hebrew, Koine Greek, my Hebrew texts, Classical Arabic, idioms must be identified as such before interpretation can proceed. Because attempting a compositional analysis of an idiom would produce a reading that may be grammatically possible, but semantically incorrect. So we have to identify this part, which cannot be compositionally analyzed. Yeah, that was construction grammar and compositionality. Now, compatibility and selectional restrictions. And semantic features, in fact. Again, in syntax, we're talking about grammatical features. For example, a verb's got its aspect, its tense, right? Or a noun has got meaning of number, or gender. And semantics, we've got features as well. Yeah? And we count for those grammatical features here. Because words do not combine arbitrarily. Verbs impose conditions on their arguments. Yeah? The subject of devour most typically is animate. Yeah? Someone who's got a mouth to devour. And the object of a lapse must be a time period. The subject of know must be a cognitive agent. Yeah, someone who thinks, who's got a mind. And these conditions are called selectional restrictions. And they are encoded as semantic features in the lexical entry of the predicate. So, for example, devour must have an object that is food, physical, and concrete. Yeah, something that can be taken into the mouth. Elapse must have a subject, which is time. Persuade must have an object which is animate, agentive, and human in fact, right? You persuade someone. You cannot persuade something. Or a verb, the verb see, to see, must have a subject that is animate and visual capable. It must have this ability to see. So, when a sentence violates selectional restrictions, the result is semantically anomalous, not grammatically unacceptable. The sentence may be syntactically well formed, but semantically it is incoherent or bizarre. Well, the famous example of Chomsky: colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Raise your hand if you know the example. Do you know this example? No? It's a very famous thing where the whole generative grammar started. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Syntactically, it is perfect. It's got proper object, verb, proper affixes, right? Proper tense, an aspect. But semantically, it is anomalous at multiple points. Ideas cannot be colored, and colorless and green are contradictory, right? Ideas cannot sleep, and sleeping is not the sort of action that admits of manner modification by furiously. Yeah? Can you imagine that? Right. So, violation is a very rich rhetorical resource. The semantic anomaly produced by selectional restriction violation is used all the time for poetic and rhetorical effect. When a biblical poet writes, Ayam Ra Yanas, the sea saw and fled, the verb Ra, see, normally requires an animate, visually capable subject. Applying it to the sea, an inanimate body of water, produces a violation. But it's not an error, right? This is a deliberate foregrounding device. So the poet attributes perception and flight to the sea in order to dramatize the power of the divine presence at the Exodus. So, selectional restriction violation in literature is the mechanism underlying personification and animism. Very often, for example, yeah, to show the Hemingway, the old man and the sea, has this passage where we've got mountains looking at the sea and meeting the old man returning from the sea. So mountains as people they cannot see, but it's a selectional restriction violation. But still, it gets us to a very nice picture. Right. And in Hittite, we've got this fable of a deer and a mountain again. Well, mountains are really always appear as animate objects in ancient texts, right? Probably they were seen as deities, but whatever. So the deer comes to this mount and it's grass on it, so the mount feeds it, yeah, and gives it shelter. And then when the deer is really well off, he started cursing the mountain, and the mountain was offended. And it's the whole fable in these terms with some selectional restriction violation. And in fact, in he died, we've got even grammatical affix for the selectional restriction violation. Special thing when an inanimate object is used as a subject. Okay? So, right. Yeah, do I have this example? Let me see. Okay. Yeah, when Paul writes in Galatians, you may get one moment, I'll read it. Κατεργέθετε από Χριστού. Okay, you have been severed from Christ. The verb κατεργέω normally requires a physical or institutional object, and its application to a relational reality, membership in Christ. Here is where we were talking about different possible world, right? Involves a semantic extension that is creative and theologically precise. Yeah. Okay. So those selectional restriction violations that become conventionalized produce polysemy, new word senses. Okay. So when Hebrew lichol, achal, is extended to achal et consume the people, yeah, the literal restriction on edible physical objects is violated, but the metaphorical extension has become conventionalized. We use it all the time, we keep it in mind. The result is a polysemous verb with both a literal sense, with object, edible and physical, and an extended sense, with object, which is group, and an enemy. Okay? So, this is actually one of the principal mechanisms behind the lexical semantic change, okay, in the development of language. Right, I hope we'll have time to discuss it in our course. So, actually we've got 7 minutes late to go to terms and definitions again. So, check me. We were discussing semantics, which is the systematic study of meaning in language, encompassing lexical and grammatical meaning. Semiotic triangle. Okay, what is the semiotic triangle? Can you remind me?
So it shows that there's no direct relationship between the symbol and the reference. It has to be mediated through the concept of the reference.
Yeah, that's true. But what is called semiotic triangle? Yeah. Okay, one moment. I'll return back to that thing that was in the beginning. This is the semiotic triangle. Okay, indeed, I was talking about no direct relation between symbol and referent, but the semiotic triangle is this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, symbols are referent. Okay, next thing was icon index symbol. Pearson signs. They're called Pearson signs because Charles Sanders Peirce was the person who came up with it. So, icon. Pearson sign that resembles its referent, for example, onomatopoeia or diagrams. Index is a Pearson sign which causal or existentially connected to its referent, for example, smoke, fire, or deictic pronouns. And symbol is a Pearson sign with only conventional connection to its referent, which is the dominant type in language. All the words are symbols. Okay, now we were discussing lexical versus grammatical semantics. And we were discussing categorematic versus syncategorematic expressions. Categorematic with independent descriptive context like nouns, verbs, adjectives, and syncategorematic expressions, expressions whose meaning is defined in relation to a construction. For example, morphological categories. This is grammatical semantics. Okay, now truth-conditional semantics. We've got truth condition, which is the state of affairs required for a sentence to be true. Okay? We've got extension, the expression, what the expression picks out in the actual world. Referent, truth value, or set of reference. Intension is a full meaning across all possible worlds. Okay? It's extension, but in all possible worlds. The truth condition of a sentence. Right. We were talking about compositionality, which is the property of complex expressions where the meaning is a function of the meanings of their parts and their syntactic combination, which is called Frege's principle. And we were talking about substitutivity, which is the consequence of compositionality. Co-meaningful parts can be substituted without changing the meaning of the whole. And in the end, we were talking about metaphor, meaning extension via cross-domain mapping, source domain structure projected onto target domain, and idioms, multi-word expression. The meaning is not compositionally derived from its parts. Idioms violate substitutivity. And we were talking about selectional restriction, which is a semantic constraint on the argument position of a predicate, which is expressed as semantic features. Okay, these are our terms. I was going actually to talk to you in class. I hope we got 1 minute for that. Can you look at the dove as a peace symbol? What is it? Is it an icon? Is it an index or a symbol? What do you think? Ideas?
I guess symbol. I don't know.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
icon because we have a picture of it.
Well,
But the fact that it refers to peace is
Yeah,
symbolic.
that's true.
it's a piece, and peace is not a dove, right?
Mm.
It's an abstract thing. We don't know
Mm.
what it looks like, right? So
Mm.
yeah, it's a symbol. Yeah. Okay. Now let's look at the truth conditions. That is a difficult thing, difficult one. The king sat on his throne. What must be true in the world for this utterance to be true? Okay. Any ideas?
What do we have to assume about the world?
Yep.
That that it's a physical place where someone can be.
There is a throne, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You think what we should assume for this to be true, right? And I've got a list of other exercises. I guess I'll send you an email with the homework. It's not, in fact, obligatory, but the homework would help you to better understand the principles, because we've got only 10 lessons, and it's really difficult to fit in everything into those 10 lessons. Okay, now this is it. Wait for my letter and look into the workflowy space, which is over there with this QR code. Okay. It was a
Great,
pleasure
thanks.
meeting
Yeah.